you gonna
Yeah, I'm giving
bring us a good message
We
today?
hope so.
Well,
At least more than 3 showed up, that's always good. Okay, today's message that I'm bringing, can you hear me? I have such a little dwarf voice here. Today's message, I chose the emotional view. And I thought about this several months ago before we had the crisis because I believe Bob Maldonado, he spoke here a few weeks ago about the energies that are changing in 2020. And it wasn't real specific as the astrological profile, Chinese and other mediums spoke of this year being a year of change, a year of chaos, and then out of the chaos comes the change, kind of a dark night of the soul for, our people all around the globe. It was supposed to be financial, relational, health-wise, just about everything, political, just about everything was going to be a total upheaval. But out of that, a better newness of humanity and living is supposed to come. So it won't last forever. So I had chosen emotions because emotions are such a part of how we accept change and what we go through when we face a crisis, not knowing it'd be quite a crisis at this moment. I'm going to begin with a prayer, a Buddhist prayer about compassion. So if you will, we'll enter prayer. Evoking the presence of great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion toward ourselves and toward all living beings. Let us pray that all living beings realize that they are all brothers and sisters, all nourished from the same source of life. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and sky until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. And so it is. Okay, it's impossible for us to go through life without emotions. And if you watch anything on TV, any ads, even churches play into that some. Every event, every entertainer, every politician, to get your attention, they pull on your emotions. Especially if you watch commercials, they like to leave fear, like you can't live without that purple pill. And they say it over and over again until you get sick, you think, I gotta have that purple pill. So it's out there. So how we handle those emotions can make a big difference in our daily lives and how we interact. Emotions are good. They help us to survive. By having the right fear, we recognize danger. By feeling love, we bond to others. We create families and are safe by creating a community and having a group to watch our back. Emotions can move us forward and help us evolve as humans. They are a miracle, a gift from our source. Although when you're going through something, you're not really thinking it's a miracle, but it is a miracle from source to guide us, to give us information, to work with our intuition. Our emotions and how we express them can be the product, though, of our upbringing. Also genetics, our personality and life experiences. How we react to something may be the same way that our parents reacted. Good or bad, we picked it up. That's our first go-to when we react. Sometimes we react the way our church community would react, which can be a good thing. Sometimes we react because of our cultural differences. If I'm from India or, I was brought up Native American, I'm also half Irish, yay. That cultural connotation can help us with how we react. We don't want to be different from other people in our community, so sometimes we react the way everybody else reacts without thinking. Psychologists have now documented there are 27 distinct emotions and probably more to follow as they keep studying this. These emotional responses begin in the bottom region of the brain, the subcortex. All animals have the exact same region we have in the subcortex. Exactly the same, mapped out the same. What makes the difference is that as humans, we process the information. We have the ability to react according to other information. Most animals act on instinct. You poke a bear with a stick, he's going to bite you. He's not going to think, hey, maybe they're trying to help me. You know, he's going to bite you. So they react that way. To the surprise of many people that they act instinctual. So they're born with that. Scientists are now saying that we are born with a few instinctual habits, and they're even confirming that emotions are carried in our genes through our DNA. They're calling it spiritual or ancestral DNA. And they have, I know with Finding Your Roots and some of the things through Ancestry.com, a person that's been having panic attacks and having issues because of lightning or not being able to write or something going on, they can trace it back, and when they review their ancestors, they find out their third great grandfather had the same thing, or something happened to him that now you're having this panic reaction. So they're beginning to believe some of the traumatic events is being carried forward. Also with abused children or abusive, women that are abused. Sometimes if they're pregnant when abuse occurs, the child that's born shows some issues, some instinctual behavioral things that has carried forward. They picked this up while they were in the womb. And they can do brain studies. It's a fascinating study. Just more and more information to figure out why we were screwed up, I guess. It's just fun. I needed to know all that. Okay. Since all mammals experience emotions in the subcortex, what sets us apart again is this response. So I'm talking today a little bit more about how we respond, some of the things and how we can respond to it. When our brain processes this, we have historically two choices, and you've heard them, I'm sure, in school or everywhere, the fight or flight. Many centuries ago, you could either stand your ground or you could run and hide. Today that's kind of hard because, when I'm at work and it's a stressful job, I can't fight, I'll get fired. I can't argue with the doctor because they know everything. And so I can't argue, I have to keep my mouth shut and take it. And I sure can't run. If I go get in my car and leave, then I'm fired. So, and that happens with all of us. A lot of times we're in relationship issues to where, even if we try to walk away, you can only walk away so far or so much. So those aren't two good options anymore for what we have to face. Also, there's two other choices now that's listed. We can do nothing. And sometimes the best thing to do is do nothing and pray, which I have problems with that every now and then. I always say, I'm going to fix this. That's not the answer usually. So sometimes, even though it is a form of denial, that can be in your best interest to do nothing and pray, or walk away and pray. We also have the fourth choice for emotional response, which is medication. You take the right medicine, you don't feel it anymore. And there's way too much of that going on. Like I said, these emotions were created to give us information, to direct and guide us. So even though they're horrible to go through, they have a purpose for giving us strength and helping us to make better choices with everything in our lives. Also, when we're having an emotional response, unlike animals, alcohol and drugs can play a part in what we're thinking. A person that has gotten to the level of intoxication, they may not fear things. They may step out in front of a car, they may jump off a balcony. They just don't, their fear's just not kicking in real good. So that can be a bad thing. Also, drugs can alter our emotional response. A lot of our relationships are destroyed because of people reacting with drugs and alcohol rather than, handling situations to make the relationship better. There's all kinds of other things that gets in the way of that logic. So our reactions are very complex, even our senses. You know, if you listen to a certain kind of music, it can help you have different emotional reactions. I didn't watch the news this morning because I don't want to get up and have all that in there, all these biased opinions and all this. A lot of it's false information, and I just don't want to hear it before I go somewhere. It sets my day up to be bad. So I don't listen to it before I go to work. Sometimes at lunch I'll get the headlines off just to see is there any crisis I kind of really need to know about before I get out. But I don't do it in the morning. I don't do it before I go to bed at night. I like to listen to soft music, read something that's entertaining and light or inspirational, not something that's, you know, I'm gonna go to bed and have nightmares because I read a murder mystery. You know, I like them, but I don't do them before I go to bed. So how we smell things. You know, have you ever walked in a store and there's perfume in there and it smells so good and you just feel like relaxing, I'm in a different world. Like those old commercials, Calgon, take me away. I need a whole lot of Calgon sometimes. I think they still make it, I haven't looked lately. So, you know, what we smell. When you taste something that's from a recipe your grandmother made, what do you feel? You know, she may be gone 20 years, but you take a bite of a brownie that's from her recipe or a special cake she used to bring for everybody's birthday, and there you are. Your emotions change because you're eating grandma's brownies or something. So even our senses make it. What we smell, what we see. One of the best emotional responses to anything that's troubling you is to walk in nature. You know, when our plant was created, the greenery. Green is one of the most emotionally, sensually soothing colors. We react to green, even in anger. If you look at a green card or you go outside and look at green pathways or pastures, that emotion can disperse. So that's a big influence. Just get out in the air, look at things. The blues, the greens, you know, the sprinkling of flowers, all that can help your emotions. So we talk, the emotions that are feel-good emotions, I want to go back and talk about the emojis. One thing I find really disturbing is now all the younger people are using emojis. You know, an emoji cannot show the complexity or the depth of an emotion at all. It's a flat picture. And it bothers me that I'll get something, you know, from a younger person. Even people that work in professional offices that are younger, they'll send me something and put a happy face on it. That's not happy. You know, it wasn't happy at all. Are you happy because you want to make me feel better because you gave me this bad news? Or are you happy because you think I'm going to fix it? Why are you happy? You know, this is not a good thing. So I kind of get upset about emojis. And some of them I have no idea what they mean, but they're emojis. So we have these feel-good emotions that we like to have more than anything else. There are three main ones. Happiness, which also includes joy and contentment, and a few others. Love, which also includes animal love. We do love our animals with a love as well, and compassion and empathy. Some of the things that most of our society needs to work on, those two. Okay, doctors have proven that people who experience feel-good emotions at least 60% of their day, they have lower blood pressure, they have fewer strokes, fewer heart attacks, they eat better, they sleep better, they have better relationships, even better finances. Because, you know, they're feeling good, life is good, it's going good. It can't always be good, but if we've got 60% of our day going good, I think that's happy, you know. Because with all the outside influences, it's really hard to keep it all happy. They also live longer lives if you are happy. You know, a lot of people make themselves miserable because of their happiness set point. So who controls your happiness set point? You do. A lot of you are familiar with Abraham Hicks and, you know, that hierarchy of your emotions, how you can't receive if your emotions aren't a certain level. And it's true because of your energy patterns, and we'll talk a little bit when we talk about the bad emotions about that energy pattern. We also have a gratitude set point and a love set point. If you're accepting of love without too many critical demands, I want a guy that has blue eyes and brown hair, he's got to make $50,000 a year, and he's got to drive a this. You know, we've set that expectation, and if we don't get it, then we're upset. Well, you know, whose fault is that? There might be the perfect guy that's bald-headed and blue-eyed standing right by us. But we've set this point, so that's not a good thing. I've been attending a Buddhist, I guess you call it an enclave, I don't know what you call it, it's like a monastery. When I go visit my son's in very bad health, and I go to Pensacola or to Milton and see him most every weekend. That's why I'm not here as much. So we attend a Buddhist temple there. And I love the Dalai Lama jokes, and this is one from Sunday. I could just see his little eyes twinkling when he's telling these jokes. The Zen master received a birthday present from his student. It was a beautiful box covered in silvery ribbons and beautiful paper, and he smelled good, and he carefully untied the bow, and he took off the paper, and he opened the box, and it was empty. And the master looked at the student with tears in his eyes and said, "Just what I wanted, nothing." I thought that was so cute. Because we set our expectations. I gotta have this, I gotta have that. If someone don't give me this, I'm upset, I'm mad, I'm not gonna stand for that, I'm gonna call them out. You know, we set up all this drama when if we were just content with what we were given and show gratitude for the blessings we receive, we've cut out all that other part. So it's our expectations that we need to work on. Babies are born happy, only requiring the basics to live. A baby's just as happy if you feed them with a plastic spoon or a silver one. They don't care, they just want food. That's it, food and love, pretty much. So our distressing emotions have to be learned. If Aunt Agnes takes the happy child's plastic spoon and says, "In this family we only eat with silver," the baby learns that plastic is not acceptable. And how much more complex and how much more horrible are things that we learn and we teach by our actions. Again, this was a family or a personality thing from the Aunt Agnes. So that child will grow up and never feel comfortable with plastic because they think they're better than plastic. Okay, the negative emotions are important because they help us prioritize what we really want and what's really going on. You know, politicians and a lot of speakers, you know, they're more entertainers, and they know just how to pull on your strings or just how to manipulate emotions to where you can hear something very bad while they're smiling. You know, if you're listening to someone on TV that's speaking, even a newscaster, if you turn off the sound and watch their face and their bodily expressions, it's a whole different thing because the words don't match the body. So that's usually a good clue. Okay, it's very important to us to make our decisions based on our intuition and what we really feel, not what we think we should feel. The body feels things to respond immediately. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly you felt smothered? Or you felt panic? Everything's perfect, everything's in its place. Have you felt bad energy? Have you ever said, "I just feel in my gut that that's wrong"? You know, because our body responds. A lot of our headaches, you know, back and neck pains, pains in our joints, insomnia, a lot of these things are responses to something that's going on that we need to pay attention to. Even fever, our body will raise our temperature to let us know maybe we need to pay attention to something. Pain, you know, immediately you get a little pain, you run to the doctor, you call somebody, or you get on pain pills. Most of us don't. Sometimes they're necessary, they're really truly necessary, but a lot of times we dull down that pain when it's trying to tell us there's something more serious going on that we need to pay attention to. It's not just a headache, maybe we got a disc out of place, you know. it can be more serious. So it's important that we pay attention to that. Our brains take the negative emotions much more seriously. The reason being is that survival mechanism. Nobody's going to die from happy. You know, it would kind of be a good way to go. But if you're normal and not real insane, you're not going to die from happy. You're not going to die from contentment. You know, you have to watch about the boredom, but you're not going to die from contentment. Gratitude's never killed anyone. But fear is there to let us know something. You know, anxiety lets us know something. All these things tell us something. If you had absolutely no fear, how would your day go? You know, we wouldn't have those little voices in the back of the head. Sometimes they're too loud, and we have that outside influence again. But if we had no fear, would I cross the street without looking? Would I take a bottle of medicine without reading the instructions or reading about it? Would I go somewhere maybe I shouldn't be in the middle of the night, you know, and risk, you know, danger? You know, you have to be smart. You're not invincible, apparently. So, you know, with no fear, we would have a real bad problem with living our lives without the good fear. A friend of mine, she had brain surgery a year or so ago. Sylvia knows what I'm talking about. And then she had to go and have her brain washed 3 times, which is just horrifying to me to think that, but that's what they did because of infection. And then she had problems. She said she had lost her emotions. Now the subcortex is here, it's actually in the back. The tumor was up here, and the issues with infection was up here. So it was a little strange that she lost emotions anyway, or at least not the basic emotions, you know, the survival emotions. And so I asked her, we were at a meeting, and I asked her, she said something about she had lost her emotions, and they were coming back one at a time. And so I asked her, I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, which one came back first? She said, nobody ever asked me that. I said, well, I'm just curious, which one came back first? And she said, frustration came back, which is part of anger and a part of fear in a way. And then she said the next one that came back was anger. Which I can imagine, you know, being frustrated when all of a sudden you're in this world and you don't fit anymore and you can't do things you used to do and you don't think in the same pattern. You know, it is a scary thing. You know, if that happens to me, I really hope love comes back first and compassion. And her dear husband was sitting beside her and she said, anger came next. And he's like, so we pray for him. So he's had a time. Hopefully she's going to continue in love and compassion, and she had worked her way around gratitude. She was saying, I feel blessed to have gone through it. You know, she was getting the gratitude. Either she felt it or she's talking herself into it, but that was coming, so that'll help. So let's take a look at some of the examples of the negative emotions that are real prevalent right now in our lives. Panic. There's no toilet paper. You know, I hate to not be sympathetic, but for centuries there was no toilet paper. So, you know, humanity survived. We'll be okay. So our energy scatters when we feel panic. I can see, you know, I'm empathic and I can actually see energy patterns. I'm a Reiki master. So I can see people's chakras sometimes, especially if I want to. And I can see their energy, their auras. I can see color changes. You know, with Reiki we work to change the energy pattern to help fix things. And when someone is in a panic, and going to the store right now is just really sucks the life out of me, because I'm in there and I'm feeling all these things, and it's like I just want to get some milk and go home. You know, I don't want. So I have to surround myself and go through some energy practices so I can walk out without taking all this with me, because I don't want to take it with me. I try to laugh about it, but it's not really funny. So when the energy scatters when we panic, it looks like fireworks when I see someone in a panic. It looks like these fireworks are just going everywhere. So energy's not directed at the problem, it's just out there. It's just bursting all over. And it's hard once you get started on a big burst of energy, getting it stopped and pulled back in, let alone try to focus on a solution for anything. And it drains you of good energy. You get tired. A lot of you, you know, when you go out and you're in big crowds or you're around certain people and you come home, it's like, I am so tired. Every time I go to that meeting, I get tired. Well, it may be the energy is draining yours. So it's hard to focus and get a grip when you're panicked. Worry. You know, a lot of people are worrying. Worry, when you look at somebody energetically that's worrying, you can see the energy, it like goes round and round. It's not like one tornado, it's like many. It's just round and round. And you know, when you're thinking, when you worry, your thoughts go round and round. You know, you'll say, okay, well, I'm going to pray about that, or I'm going to turn it over to God, or I'm going to say an affirmation. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, oh my God, you know. So sometimes you go through those steps many times, if you're like me. So it causes stress on our bodies and our mind when this worry keeps going, and then it might die down a little, and then here it is. But it's always there. It can distract you. A lot of the people that have car accidents is because they're worried. They're riding through town worried. So all their bodily things that would go to thinking about fixing something or how to respond is cut off, and all you've got is these tornadoes. So you don't see the car pull out in front of you or run a red light. You don't see a child walk across the street. You don't see the things around you. So worry is very detrimental. Your energy gets heavier. When I look at someone and worry, their energy looks like gravy. It's heavy. And so when you worry and worry, you just get heavy. You feel like there's a burden on your back. You feel like something's sitting on your chest. You're just heavy. And when you're in this heavy, good energy doesn't penetrate. You know, if you ever had gravy that got too thick, you know, it's just, you can't hardly stir it. It's just there. It doesn't do anything. So if that gravy stays with the worry, and sometimes you have worry and panic at the same time, which is going on now, a lot of worry going back and forth, your brain just stays in a fog. There's nothing to dispel it unless you understand how to focus, and we'll talk a little bit more about focus and grounding in a minute. And you just get stuck. Ever been just frozen and unable to think about what you might ought to do about something? I try not to do that every day, but it happens. You know, you just get, oh, I don't know what to do. Do I do this? Do I do that? I'm not doing anything because I don't know what to do. You know, I just can't do this right now. Or, you know, we say all these things. And no matter how well we plan, life kind of throws these things at us. Overstimulation, when I see someone that's overstimulated, especially a lot of the young people are walking around with overstimulated auras, it's because it's all the electronic things, it's the lack of focus on real life and real sensual feedback, you know, all those things. If you get the cell phone cut off, and when I go home, you know, I may not call you back right away because I don't keep mine on me at home or in my hand. I lay it down and walk away. You know, TV's constantly, and my granddaughter's there, I can come in and the TV's going, a TV in the back's going, the video game's going, and she's on her cell phone. It's like, really? You know, you're not watching any of this, so, you know, so they don't know how to cut off all this electronic stuff. And unfortunately, you know, with our generations, we have to use some of it, you know, because just for work and functioning. You know, most places won't even let you mail a check anymore or just go pay in person. They look at you like you're crazy. You're handing me money here now, you know. So we've had to adapt to some things. So noise, too much news, too much contact with negative people and negative things that you think you have to do creates this overstimulation. Okay, anxiety. Anxiety can be caused by overwhelm or something you're worried about or your panic. You know, you usually have anxiety and panic attacks together. When you have anxiety, your energy, when I see energy with anxiety, it's bombarding itself. It sparks out here and here and it hits each other. It's like it's little energy explosions all over. Not like the fireworks, but it's hitting itself. So energy is kind of like an autoimmune energy thing. You're fighting your own energy when you have this anxiety. Anger, which is another negative emotion, and anger can be good. Anger in the right context and used appropriately can drive you to making a better choice or to changing something that needs to be changed. You can get mad about something, but instead of getting mad and just lunging out at people or, talking about it, it can drive you to go, well, this needs to change. So if you can rein in the anger and use it, because it shows you things that do need to change and gives you a desire for change when you have anger, if you keep the anger under control. Anger, when you see somebody that is angry in their energy, their BP rises, their blood pressure rises, they get flushed in the face. You can see bodily changes. Someone walk around and you can say, yeah, he's angry. I'm gonna stay over here. So because you can see these bodily changes, and sometimes the fists are clenched, just over no toilet paper, just all these little things. It's like, I can't believe this. It's like, well, then go home and pray. Leave me alone. But or go home and meditate, whatever. So that energy, it's like a volcano. The energy actually pushes up through the body with anger, and it needs to blow. So it has to be redirected. And with volcanoes and with like steam engines, when that pressure keeps building, you can't stop it. It takes a lot to stop it, and it does a lot of damage. It damages organs in your body. It can damage your brain functions. Of course, when you got the anger, it damages relationships. It damages things at work. It just spreads out like a volcano. It shoots. The lava goes everywhere and destroys everything in its path. So anger has to be used the right way and controlled for good. It is telling you something. Either you're overreacting and you need to fix you, or you need to change what's making you overreact. So that's a lot. So let's look at the opposite of these emotions while we go into our meditation. I'm going to take you through a meditation regarding some of these negative emotions.